All right, go ahead and get started. My name is Spencer Rogers, and I did my literature review project on the influence of descriptive and injunctive norms. All right, so just start off with my roadmap. In this PowerPoint, first I'll talk about my trend, talking about the trend, a reoccurring pattern in research articles that I found. Next, I'm going to talk about what other authors were able to discover, and from there, I'm going to show what they were not able to, displaying my gap. After I display my gap, I'll then be able to explain what my research question is. Um, then, after that, I'm going to explain what my helper source is and how it's been effective for me in this process. And then, to finish up my presentation, I will talk about my implication of my findings, and I'll also give a couple of recommendations for fellow researchers. All right, so first off with the trend. So the trend of this literature review is to talk about descriptive and injunctive norms in order to show the amount of influence that can be taken from them. Um, in order to talk about a trend, there has to be articles to support it. So I picked out three from my article. So my first one was from Shepard, 2016. He uses a descriptive norm in order to show how heavy alcohol consumption is a major health issue on college campuses. My next one is Brooke Russell's 2013, and he detects if alcohol later predicts alcohol consumption by testing the relationship caused by a change in descriptive and injunctive norms, showing for this one, Brooke Russell actually shows as he looks at the parents, seeing if the parents were alcohol users in order to determine if that's going to show the kids going to be alcohol users in their future. The third one is Kozier 2017, and he's able to examine the individuals by sending text messages, allowing for each text message to convey a different level of descriptive and injunctive norm in order to determine which one's more influential. So as you can see through these three articles and in my literature review, descriptive and injunctive norms do show a huge amount of influence, and that is a pattern that has been shown through research articles in order for it to be my trend. And also, these norms are also used to help better a public health issue by testing the amount of influence, because then we're able to know how much adolescents are able to be influenced by these types of norms and what we could do as a community as a whole in order to help prevent this public health issue and hopefully lessen the alcohol use in adolescents. Alright, so going on to talk about my gap a little bit. Research has been able to study peer influence on surrounding others. So our peers, everyone knows that has a huge influence on everything we do in life. No matter if you want to go outside today and your friend wants to stay inside, if you want to stay inside, maybe you're staying inside. If you want to go outside, you want to go outside. So it can be for the positive and negative with that. As I'm showing in my paper, students are able to influence others for the positive. People could, if more people are starting to work out, more people are starting to ride bikes, do more things actively, studies show that you're more likely to do that as well. Also, same thing as alcohol. If there's more peers around you that are consuming alcohol, then you got to know that it's more than likely that you're going to start as well. Researchers also have been able to display peer influence to consume alcohol, as I was just talking about. So these are two things that researchers have been able to do. They've been able to show peers. They've been able to show the influence on consuming alcohol, but researchers haven't gone as far to do so. Is to use descriptive injunctive norms as well as the peers to show the amount of influence that can be shown on individuals. This is huge because being able to use those norms as a guideline to show how effective the norms actually are in persuading these individuals to do things is huge. So that was my gap. I was able to find that. So moving on to my research question. My research question states, to what extent can descriptive and injunctive norms influence individuals? Yet, with regards to adolescents consuming alcohol and performing more physical activity. So that's my basic research question. Go from there. The helper source that I was able to use in order to help me with my paper helped me follow through was Lamar's distinction of how to determine how much of an influence descriptive norms and injunctive norms have on college students. So with the use of Lamar, Turner, Mallet, and Geiser 2404, I was able to use that source as a guideline for my paper because Lamar is very similar to what I do in my literature review. He shows descriptive and injunctive norms used to show a public health issue. So he uses that distinction of the influence of the descriptive and injunctive norms in order to determine how influential these norms can be to predict college drinking behaviors. So this source was able to actually predict, for me, he was able to define descriptive and injunctive norms, which was huge because when you hear descriptive and injunctive norms, a lot of individuals aren't too sure exactly what they are. So with Lamar being able to give me that definition really allowed my readers to understand what the meaning of the norms was being talked about. So that was a huge part of my helper source in my literature review. Moving on to my findings. So through my findings, I was able to find descriptive and injunctive norms do hugely impact individuals to be influenced for the positive and negative. As I was just talking about, through those other research articles, the common theme was using descriptive and injunctive norms in order to influence others. Moving on to my gap, I was able to show researchers researched peers, they researched consuming alcohol, but they haven't researched descriptive norms with peers. So me being able to do that really was able me to find the positive and negative influence in that. Again, with the positive being, if you have more individuals around you that are starting to work out more, perform more exercises, then you're most likely you're going to do the same. Same thing with the negative though. If your friends, your surrounding others are starting to abuse drugs, consume more alcohol, it's a choice that you have to make, and likely the more people around you doing it, the more influential it's going to be. Also with my findings, I had no surprise that the norms displayed large amounts of influence, just because I've seen that in my day-to-day life with my friends. If my friends are trying to do something, I'm most likely going to do it with them. So I was not surprised in that aspect. And evidence points to what I'm arguing as well. They're also able to just find as what I've found. The authors that I stated in there, Shepard, Brooks Russell, and Koser, they all find the exact same finding as me. They show that descriptive and injunctive norms hugely do impact individuals to be influenced. But again, it could be for the positive and negative, so it's all about who you're surrounding yourself around, and in the end of the day, bettering yourself is what it comes down to. So, implication of finding. My findings were confirmed, again, through the use of those three sources, Shepard, Brooks Russell, and Koser. They were all able to come about similar findings in my literature review. Shepard, he found the public health issue. He was able to help find that adolescents are really abusing alcohol in college level, even going back to high school. Brooks Russell, again, was able to show if your parents are drinking in front of you, it's more than likely that you're going to drink later on in your life. So again, as you can see, all these sources do confirm exactly what I'm finding. So Shepard, first off, he confirmed my research by using the descriptive and injunctive norms in order to identify the public health issue of underage drinking. So by finding this, it really opens up people's eyes to realize there is an issue going on. Brooks Russell, again, he confirmed my findings by showing the descriptive and injunctive norms can later predict alcohol behavior. That's a big one because looking at your parents, it goes all the way back to when you're growing up as a kid, when you're still living with your parents in home. If you see your parents drinking every day, it's more than likely you're going to start drinking. Koser 2017 was able to confirm my finding by sending the text messages. That's a great method that Koser was able to find, sending text message to college students. Every college student is going to have their phone on them majority of the time, so that's a big one there. Being able to find the influence from the norms to influence others to do more. Going on to the implication of finding, This research is of need due to the fact that descriptive and injunctive norms, they show a different way of using norms in order to reveal public health issues. The value of this paper is shown that individuals can increase physical activity and even increase alcohol consumption if the social norm is in that area. So what I mean by that is a social norm, if everyone's doing one thing, everyone's doing one particular thing, let's say everyone's starting to exercise more. For example, let's say you're a freshman living in the dorms. If everyone around your dorm is starting to go to the gym, they're starting to work out, you're going to want to do the same thing. If your friends are going out and partying, they're going to want to do the same thing. So with more individuals performing physical activity or consuming alcohol, resort, and more influence to the surrounding others to do the same. So my recommendation for further researchers, first off, I'd recommend to study to what extent do peers influence others, because peers needs to be researched. Our peers influence us greatly, so that definitely needs to be talked about more. The right path to continue on with this research would be to research the peer-to-peer engagement again, maybe getting on campus, actually talking to peers, what they think influences them to consume more alcohol, or what influences those students to perform more physical activity. That's a recommendation I would have. And for citizens, I would recommend for everyone to realize that there is a public health issue occurring in many people's lives, many young people's lives. It might have started from seeing their parents drinking to them drinking, from their friends drinking, influence them to drinking. But I just encourage to everyone start to bring the issue up, so we realize that there really is a public health issue of underage drinking. So if everyone feels the same around about it, then we can come up with a problem to solve it. But overall, I just recommend this public health issue be talked about, allow for citizens to be aware of this issue. These are my references, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.